Fala pessoal, tudo bem? Aqui é o Rafael Belas, eu sou coordenador de produtos na diretoria de alocação da InvestSmart e no vídeo de hoje nós vamos falar sobre investimentos globais. Para fazer esse bate-papo conosco, eu conto aqui com a ilustríssima presença do Leonardo Lombardi, que é responsável pelos relacionamentos com investidores na CSP, e Charlie Jewkes, que é Head of Global Wealth na Aviva Investors. Eu vou apertar aqui a tecla SAP para fazer esse bate-papo aqui. Charlie and Lombardi, thank you very much for accepting our invitations and joining us in this video.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're very happy to be here.
Yeah, absolute pleasure.
Lombardi, vamos começar por você, agora em português. Conta um pouco para nós do seu trabalho na CSP e, de novo, muito obrigado por aceitar o convite.
Estou muito feliz de estar aqui, muito feliz de ver a trajetória que a InvestSmart teve aí ao longo dos últimos anos. Trabalho com a InvestSmart, eu acho que desde 2017, então é muito gratificante ver onde vocês estão e poder estar aqui conversando um pouco com vocês. Então, a CSP é uma empresa que trabalha com diversas gestoras de investimentos globais no mundo. Hoje, somadas, essas gestoras têm por volta de 1,5 trilhões de dólares sob gestão, todas elas, incluindo a Aviva, que está aqui com a gente hoje. E parte do nosso trabalho é realmente interagir e educar, eu acho que os investidores aqui no Brasil, sobre investimento no exterior. A gente sabe que existe um medo e talvez um preconceito, vamos dizer assim, com investimentos no exterior, e o que a gente quer trazer, o que a gente quer mostrar é que, na verdade, existem boas instituições fora do Brasil que podem trazer uma diversificação e podem trazer algo bem interessante aí para os investidores no Brasil, e é um pouco do nosso trabalho de educação, estar próximo e estar aqui falando com vocês hoje.
Boa, Lombardi. Now, apertar a tecla SAP aqui, pessoal. Charlie, thank you very much. Please tell us, who is Aviva and what is your role in Aviva Investors?
So Aviva is one of the largest insurance groups in the UK. So Aviva has three core markets. It's UK, Ireland and Canada. And within that, we focus very much on general insurance, life insurance and asset management. Mm-hmm. Aviva Investors, who I work for, is the asset management arm of Aviva Group. Mm-hmm. We run in the region of about $300 billion for Aviva money and external clients as well. So my role within Aviva is I sit on the distribution leadership team and I'm global head of our wealth business. That wealth business incorporates retail wealth, discretionary, private banking, global financial institutions, strategic partnerships. So I spend my time developing our business with large financial brands around the world, particularly partnerships is something that we really like to work with, where we can bring our investment manufacturer in and combine that with the local expertise, the local brand, which is exactly what we've done here in Brazil with your business at XP. We recognize you are an extreme financial powerhouse in Brazil, and we're delighted to have the opportunity to bring the best of what we can do and work with you.
Yeah, that's great. And Charlie, how could you describe how Aviva differentiate from its competitors? How could you?
So I think the first point here is that, just kind of the length of track record we have as an organization. Mm-hmm. So Aviva is more than 300 years old. Wow. And we've been a very trusted brand, particularly in the UK, but the other markets we're there. So when you're investing with Aviva and Aviva Investors, you're also investing with the balance sheet and the customers of Aviva. So I think it gives individuals, institutions, everyone we work with great confidence that if a large financial UK FTSE 100 company trusts us with their money, then everyone else gets that as well. So we have a very, very strong culture of steady, highly risk managed, stable returns, and we try and really avoid the volatility and navigate and partner with our clients through that volatility. So in the UK, for example, something in the region of 1 in 3 individuals in the UK is a customer of Aviva in one way or another. Wow. Through whether that's a pension fund or an insurance policy or an investment product. So I'd say we're very large, we're very scalable, we are a big international name. I think you can really trust the brand that you're working with Aviva.
So nowadays, Charlie, what are the current trends in the financial market that you are most looking, that you think it's interesting at the moment?
I think what we've gone through globally in the last few years is a pretty seismic shift in the macroeconomic environment.
Yes.
So we're now in a situation of adjusting that. So if you go back, I'd say the origins of this go back as far as the global financial crisis in 2008, where you had on the whole a global reduction in interest rates. So things like off the back of that, you had a very sustained positive trajectory, whether it was fixed income, whether it was equity investing. The cost of borrowing money was very cheap. So I think for the best part of almost 15 years, investors had a very, very positive investment journey on the whole. I think then that's been disrupted by things like the global pandemic, by the energy crisis in Europe, by geopolitical events, which has caused a dislocation in the macro environment. We've got now a higher interest rate environment. Developed market economies have been forced to really adjust to that. And I think as a result, investors have, in the last few years, taken risk off the table. So I think what we're doing now, as the global economy is showing signs of recovery, we're seeing the rate cycles come down in both emerging markets and developed markets. Indications that the ECB, the Fed, the Bank of England. I think what we're doing now is we're now starting to see investors start thinking about bringing more risk back into their portfolio, investing in different things, diversifying their portfolios. Kind of like active fixed income, I think, is going to be a big thing coming back. That's something we're really focused on here in Brazil. I think global equity markets. So I think what we're trying to do now is give people the confidence and work with individuals and customers to really try and help to partner and manage that journey as they seek to grow their wealth. And I think the fact is higher interest rates are not necessarily they are not necessarily a bad thing from an investment perspective. But people have had to adjust their lives in terms of cost of borrowing, financing properties and everything. So we're really, I think, confident that people are getting more confidence to invest internationally and really...
That's something that I would like to talk with you. But what do you think is the greatest benefits of the internationalization of the investments? I mean, in Brazil we are an emerging market, so how important do you think it is to the portfolio?
I think it's about diversification. I think that's really, really key because.
In Brazil, 95% of the investors are investing in Brazil, within Brazil. So that's why I asked you.
I mean, I don't think it's unusual. I think the home bias that you have in Brazil, I think, is very, very common everywhere, and it's a behavioural thing. Like people like to participate in the journey and the investment journey of their own country, and they feel a behavioural emotion and connection to it. But I think that's great, but it isn't always the most. From a financial return perspective, that doesn't always give you the best long-term outcomes, because whilst if you get a really positive trajectory, you participate in that, you also participate in the downside as well. Whereas we would advocate for building a really diversified portfolio where you've got professional management of that portfolio, where people are vast teams of people like you have at XP, like we have at Aviva, are really studying the global financial markets and seeing where you can participate in other opportunities that might be outside of that. So I think there's a lot of empirical evidence that would suggest that diversified portfolios over time are a great place to be. So what we're trying to bring here to Brazil is an option, and it's just saying, okay, if you want to supplement or have something that correlates with your investment portfolio in a different way, just to a pure Brazilian exposure, then we've got great options to do, particularly in the active international fixed income space. I don't know, Leonardo, if you want to.
Yeah, I think that's the point, right? If you look, of course, Brazil has a lot of volatility in the interest rates, and we are now in a moment where interest rates are steady, but probably going up a little bit before going down again to our normal, let's put it this way, levels of interest rates. But if you look 10 years ago, the market had few options of international managers here. Now there are over 30, 40 international managers with presence and willing to do business here in Brazil. So I think it's a journey. We're still a little behind what the US is, what Europe is, what Asia is now doing and trying to, Asia in some regions trying to internationalize. But I think we are at a point where people understand that diversification is important. People understand they want to participate in this diversification. It's a matter of pulverizing this to the general investor, and I think the local regulation, what CVM, the amazing job CVM has been doing with the new regulations coming in, have been positive and showing in a way that it's not it's not a matter of risk, it's a matter of diversification. I think that's the key takeaway, at least we got from the changes in CVM.
No, that's great. Well, guys, I could not finish our talk I really want to know what's your mind, Charlie, about the expectation of the Fed to start cutting rates. So the market think it will be in September. And how do you see the impact of this cut for looking at the equities or bonds? I think that it could be a good final question for.
Yeah, look, I think obviously the United.
It's not easy. I think we can talk about that for 1 hour. I know, but if you could summarize.
Look, I think in short, like the US is, this is the largest economy in the world, and people look to what is going on in the US as an indication of the health of global financial markets and what is going on. And I think that there's obviously been a sustained period of higher interest rates in the United States. There are indications there's going to be a cut in the Fed rate. I think that just gives people confidence that if the authorities in the United States are willing to do that, they're trying to encourage stimulus in the economy. And I think that whether you're invested in bonds, whether you're invested in equities, it's just going to encourage, hopefully, people to have the confidence to invest. I mean, obviously, if we had an economist here, we could go into all sorts of detail on this. But I just think the high-level indication that this is coming should give people optimism and security of where they're.
Do you think that higher rates can be a new reality, to the global investments, or it's hard to? I
think it's hard to tell. I think what is an anomaly is probably in developed markets for the last 10 years how low interest rates have been. Because if you go back to long-term historical averages, they've been much higher, and this low interest rate environment was introduced as a way to effectively help a recovery from the global financial crisis. But I think with inflation and other macroeconomic threats that have been around, they've been forced to hike, and the speed of the hike was very, very fast. And I think that was quite frightening for people. And if you think people were having to refinance their house, refinance their mortgage, they were, let's say, reserved in terms of investing money and savings and other things. So I just think psychologically the indication that this is going to potentially come the other way is just great news for the investment and asset management industry.
Wow, that's great, Dan. Well, Charlie Lombardi, I'd like to thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Actually, if you guys want to share with us some final thoughts, please be my guest.
Yeah, look, I think we went into partnership with XP 3 or 4 years ago. Initially bringing our international credit products. We're delighted we're still there. It's now got track record. 3 years. I think
which is very, very good, by the way, right?
The performance has been strong, and we're a brand that is a specialist in wealth management, and we really want to work with XP to create a great partnership in Brazil. So hopefully we'll see a lot more from Aviva in the market going forwards, and we're delighted to be working with you.
Nice.
I'll just change the tecla SAP, but é muito, como eu falei, é muito gratificante ver onde vocês estão e quanto vocês cresceram. E como o Charlie falou, a gente está muito comprometido com o Brasil e com o desenvolvimento do negócio internacional no Brasil. Então, acho que é mais uma questão de tempo até, eu acho que as pessoas se adaptarem não só ao mercado de equities, que eu acho que é muito, né, midiático e sai bastante na notícia que grandes empresas americanas estão fazendo isso, aquilo, mas também o mercado de renda fixa americano tem oportunidades interessantes e a renda fixa global tem coisas interessantes. Então, é mais uma questão de perseverança e a gente continuar com essa consistência. Como você comentou, o fundo tem uma performance bem competitiva, então a gente está bem comprometido e bem feliz de poder estar aqui conversando com vocês hoje.
Obrigado, Lombardi. Thank you, Charlie. Pessoal, espero que vocês tenham gostado do vídeo. Sugestões, dúvidas, por favor, deixem nos comentários. E se você gostou, considere se inscrever no canal. Espero encontrá-los em breve. Tchau, tchau.